This time we put this here. So the Avalanche transmission has been running a bit hot on mountain roads and mountain trails. So what I did was I got this auxiliary cooler. This is a dormant part. It is exactly the same shape as the stock cooler, the optional auxiliary cooler for a tow package, and it comes with the same connectors. This sort of flared end. I got these OEM lines to replace the lines that are in the vehicle. These are routed so that we use the cooler that is in the end tank of the radiator. The fluid goes first into this cooler, then it goes to the aux cooler, and then through this long tube-ish thing it goes back to the transmission. So we are cooling the fluid that is coming out of the end tank cooler and going into the transmission. So why I did this instead of the easy way that I usually do, bypass the OEM radiator based cooler completely and just use a generic transcooler. That works just fine, but I wanted to go the OEM way this time because I feel these connectors are more reliable, metal hoses are more reliable, because where we go there is no Uber to take us back. I don't mind if this Corvette blows transmission hose on the road because I can get back home, but this time we're kind of going the easy way here and just replacing the lines. Here it is. So all ends of these lines are using the same quick release connector. So we pull out the plastic ring first and then try to find where the clip is and try not to lose that clip. This is a bit tight. I'm gonna find a little bit sharper tool here. This is how the clip looks. So it goes in that hole, pulls out like so. I'm putting it in between here. Alright, the circ clip is out and I got it. Now I can pull the line out. Oh, the bolt is right down here. Alright, it's off and it's loose, and I'm pulling the bolt away. I should be able to pull out this line from the transmission cooler. No. Okay, it's out. You can see there's no fluid leaking out because, well, it's the top line of this tank. Alright, now this is going to be replaced, this line. This is the one that is going back to the transmission, so this line is going to be replaced completely, and I'm putting it aside here for a while. I'm plugging it because why not? In case I need to give up this video for one reason or the other. How do we do this? So this end obviously is going to the radiator, and this end is going to the cooler. So we need to put it through somehow, one-handed. So the line comes through here. Here goes through there to the top. The next thing I'm doing is I'm putting this clip back on same orientation roughly as it was. There's holes in this adapter, so okay, so the clip will click in, and when it feels right, it's correct. Taking this little vacuum cap off and pushing it in. The O-ring inside is already lubricated, so click, and I'm gonna push the circ thingy on, and this is just asking for the 10mm bracket to be put on, and this end is finished after that. Installed. The really fun part of it is that we're trying to get to that upper line in the transmission, which is a bit deep in there, especially with the exhaust being in the way, but I'm sure we'll sort it out. Plastic ring comes out, and the circlip can be reached from behind. The circlip is out, and I'm gonna pull the line, and hope I don't need to bathe in transmission fluid. Okay, it's out, and I'm just going through this general area to the front. Oh yeah, there's this little clip here which I need to detach like so. Oh shoot, I took out the lower line. Okay, what's the other one? So fail. Okay, so redid it. I put the upper line back on. So the upper line in transmission is the lower line in the radiator, apparently. And I pulled the lower line out, which is a bit easier than the upper line. It should come out with minimal violence. The problem is that it has these bends, and it's stuck. It gets stuck everywhere. Pulling this, and I have the little splash guard here. Okay, I am going to pull it through this hole here. Probably bend it up. It is going through all this junk underneath. They lose violence. Okay, I'm gonna stop filming. I guess you need to imagine the rest of it. The fun part is to figure out how to get the new one in without bending it. So my lines are both routed through. The transmission line was actually pretty easy, much easier than getting the old one out when I figured out the trick. I mean, of course you could disassemble stuff out of the way, much easier to do without this giant iron bumper also, but the trick is to thread it in through the same route as the lower line and then give it a good twist. So kind of screw it in, push it in. As long as it goes, it snags into these corners, then rotate until it gets through that spot and keep on doing that until it's there. And the other important part of this is the line is free, so it's not rubbing anywhere in the underneath there and wearing through. So that's the last thing to check before checking the fluid and any leaks. So there. All right, the next step is to install these lines and to the cooler and the cooler to the crossbar. I have lubricated the O-rings inside the adapters. The important part with dealing with these lines is that use vacuum plugs to cap them off so you don't get dirt inside. Click this one in, click, and this one. I think this line was a bit bent in transport, so let's see if it goes in. Click, and the plastic rings go on top on both sides, and they keep the. Is it in there? I think I have a little snafu here. Doesn't like to go in or over. So now I know that this is not in. Now it's in. It clicked again and it slid over easily. It rotates in its groove. These are on. This part is plug and play. So I'm threading the bolts in and making sure that everything is free. And the other one through this bolt hole right here. Can you see it? Right here. And this base is plastic in this cooler, so everything needs to be not snatching anything when I'm tightening this, otherwise plastic will break. Oh, of course this end doesn't fit, so let's do it the old-fashioned way. Installed. Now we have wiggly waggly lines here, which will hit other stuff, so we'll need to use clips to attach them better. Then the next step is to check the fluid, check for leaks. Then we'll do the road test and see if it helps in cooling. Doing the final checks for the lines, I realized that I'm missing a clip between this cross member and the lines that would support them in place. So these are rubbing here. So I constructed a temporary anti-rubber out of regular rubber and zip ties. They will be perfect until they aren't. So the final photo shoot of the installation. The cooler is bolted here. Lines go under the radiator support. Top line goes here. The output from the radiator cooler, and they branch like so underneath the pulleys and snake between the front differential and the oil pan down there. Time for the first startup. Let's see if we have any leaks. If I am not correct, the valve from the transmission is not yet open, so the fluid is not circulating yet. So I can't tell anything from this guy or this guy, but I should be able to tell if there's some leakage in the transmission itself. No new leaks anyway, so far. Right, we're going for a test drive. I changed out of my soaked transmission fluid soaked clothes and I'm dressing a bit more formally. Took off my steel-toed flip-flops. What I'm interested in is the transmission temperature, so I'm scrolling it to trans temp. We're starting at 77, which is about right. I checked the case with an IR thermometer, so I was suspecting that the sensor is reading a bit high, but it wasn't. It was hit on balls accurate. So we should get a good heat up of the transmission on this truck. Well, I mean, we would if we didn't have the cooler. There are two reasons why I did this job today. So the first reason is what I said earlier, that transmission runs a little bit hot on mountain trails. The other thing is I'm actually running hot on the highway now because I have an issue with the valve body and the torque converter is slipping. I get a code for the torque converter. So I programmed the torque converter locking off, and so I don't have a lockup converter. So naturally, the converter runs hot when it's slipping all the time. But I mean, it's not slipping, but it's, you know, stalling. I don't want to destroy the transmission. I don't want to wear out the torque converter clutch. I don't have time to change or fix the valve body right now. It's on my to-do list, but I have other things going on. Meanwhile, I am going to leave it unlocked, and I'm hoping that the cooler is keeping the fluid at reasonable levels. It was going to like 212 Fahrenheit, almost up to the boiling point of water. I don't like that very much. It's still in the safe range, but it's not in the good range for highway driving. So that's the second reason for the transmission cooler. I paid way too much for a rebuild of this transmission to let it blow up. I did change the fluid. There's no glitter. It was not burned. It was cleaned after I got the code. So I drove about a mile. The transmission is at 99. Stay with me. The engine is at operating temperature, and that temperature is not 210. That needle gauge is at least 10-15 degrees higher than the coolant temp sensor is actually reading. So when I'm beta logging, the coolant temperature is way lower than that. The transmission is slowly climbing up 115. It should get to 180, 190 on this trip. Now we have driven about 10 miles. The transmission temperature has stabilized at 174, but this has been really easy driving, really almost downhill most of the time. Before this cooler, the temperature was just creeping up slowly, even in this situation. So stay with me. I'm gonna check in a couple of minutes.
Oh, it is the same place.
Okay, now we are having a fairly long and a fairly steep climb top of the bluffs, and I'm gonna monitor the temperature. We are at 178. It has been fairly stable for the last couple of miles. We should see a little bit of breeze. We are at 180. After driving a few more miles, we have stabilized again at 194, and that is roughly the coolant temperature, and so we're roughly where we should be. So let's go check for the leaks, and we are almost done with this thing. So checking the cooler. The lines are warm, so we have flow through here. That's good news. Lines are dry, no leaks. The upper line is dry. Great. And the new lines don't seem to be leaking from the flex hose fittings either. Let's see what's happening underneath. Only water dripping. Condensation from the AC. Transmission seems dry. Good. Good job, man. Where did we arrive? This is San Diego. Bees.
The blocks are unstable. They may collapse at any time.
Bunny! I don't care.
I think we're missing something. Right here is a huge hole. We gotta fix it. The core is reading 190. 455. No way. 207. So I was measuring the temperature of the exhaust. So we are at still pretty high temperature. I got to 212 after long pull uphill. Core was reading 190. The transmission pan was reading 207. So it is hot. So the aux cooler is not cooling as much as I was hoping for. Maybe it needs a fan, but what it really needs is me to fix the TCC lockup. So there. So apparently I was right the first time. The upper port in the transmission is the return line. This transmission has been worked on before, and the
It's upside down.
lines have been cross-wired, and the aux cooler is now before the transmission cooler and the radiator, and we are limited by the coolant temperature in cooling. I would swap the lines in the transmission and make the upper port of the radiator the output port, but that is not necessarily a good idea because I might dislodge a lot of dirt from the radiator cooler and destroy my transmission doing that. So I'm gonna live with this for now. All right, installed. See you next time.